The world thought they knew Bill Cosby, the charming father figure who played the role of America's dad. But behind that mask lay a darkness so deep, it's now surfacing with the weight of a tragedy. Bill Cosby has been arrested, and the confession he made has shattered everything we thought we knew about him. Malcolm wasn't the only one I had to silence. His wife was in on it too. Cosby's words echoed through every headline. The man who built his empire on smiles and scripted affection is now exposed as a mastermind of a murder so chilling it defies belief. Malcolm Jamal Warner, beloved star, was never meant to die that night.
He was meant to speak.
To expose the truth. But someone made sure that wouldn't happen. Cosby wasn't alone in this. Malcolm's wife, the woman who promised to stand by him, was reportedly involved. She was part of the conspiracy, tied to the lies, the manipulation, and the betrayal. The court has now issued an arrest warrant for Malcolm's wife as well, and the world is left in disbelief. How could she, the woman who stood by his side, betray him like this? Felicia Rashad, in tears, has finally spoken out, revealing the shocking truth, a truth that could bring down everything they built together. The heartache is unbearable. Felicia says, "They tried to bury Malcolm's truth. But now, I'm here to make sure the world knows the real story." Every second of silence is now an accusation. The pain in Felicia's voice is enough to break hearts. And now, justice is coming. But at what cost? This isn't just a death. It's a betrayal. A murder wrapped in lies, money, and power. And the worst part? We all failed to see it. Now, the truth has come, and there's no escaping it. The world watched in disbelief as the news of Malcolm Jamal Warner's sudden and tragic death spread across every media outlet. An accidental drowning in Costa Rica, that's what they told us. That's what we all believed. But what if it wasn't an accident? What if everything we thought we knew about Malcolm's death was a lie? What if the people closest to him, the ones we trusted, were hiding the truth? This is the story of how the Hollywood empire, built on fake smiles and scripted affection, has been shaken to its very core. And it all starts with a confession that no one saw coming. Bill Cosby, the man who played America's dad, has now been arrested. He's behind bars, but not before dropping a bombshell that will change everything. Cosby's confession? It's shaking the foundation of Hollywood itself. "I didn't do it alone. Malcolm's wife was involved," Cosby said, his voice low, almost a whisper, but heavy with the weight of the truth. "It wasn't just me. There were others. They were all in on it. The money, the power, they wanted it all. I was just the one who pulled the strings." Imagine hearing those words. Imagine the world's biggest television icon, the man who played the father figure we all looked up to, confessing to orchestrating the murder of the very man who called him family. Malcolm Jamal Warner didn't drown. He was erased. It's a shocking revelation, and the aftermath is nothing short of heart-wrenching. The betrayal runs deeper than anyone could have ever imagined, but the truth doesn't stop there. Cosby's confession was just the tip of the iceberg, the silent betrayer. When Felicia Rashad, the woman who played the matriarch of The Cosby Show, heard Cosby's confession, her world was turned upside down. Her voice cracked with emotion as she spoke to the press. "I knew something was wrong. I knew it wasn't an accident. But I didn't have the strength to face the truth. Now I have no choice." For years, Felicia had been silent, holding on to the deep, painful truth that she knew about Malcolm's death. But now, in the wake of Cosby's arrest, she's ready to speak. Ready to reveal the truth that could tear apart everything they built. "I stayed silent for too long," Felicia says, her tears betraying the sorrow of someone who once believed in the lies. Malcolm was trying to expose them, and they silenced him for it. They killed him. The words feel like a slap to the face. The pain in her voice cuts through the years of silence. The love they shared, the family bond they had, was all built on lies. But now, she's breaking her silence, not just for herself, but for Malcolm. And there's one more thing Felicia reveals that shakes us to our core. They were all in on it.
Cosby, Tempest.
And yes, even Malcolm's wife. They wanted to silence him, take everything he had worked for. They did this for money, for power. The pieces are starting to fall into place, and it's a nightmare no one could have predicted. Malcolm's last words. Malcolm Jamal Warner wasn't just a star. He was a man who was fighting for his truth, even in his final days. As the investigation into his death continues, it's been revealed that Malcolm left behind a trail of evidence that no one could ignore. In his last days, he knew something was wrong. He wasn't the kind of man who would just go along with the system. He had too many questions, too many doubts. And just days before his tragic death, he began to document everything: his fears, his suspicions, and his warnings. Malcolm's last message, a voicemail left for his closest friend, was heartbreaking. He said, "If anything happens to me, don't let them twist my death into some accident. Don't let them bury the truth." But that's exactly what they tried to do. They buried his truth. They erased him. And now, it's all coming to light. The arrest that shattered everything. As the confession of Bill Cosby rocked the world, another shocking twist was unfolding. Malcolm's wife, the woman who once stood by his side through everything, was now under investigation. The court issued an arrest order for her, accusing her of being involved in the conspiracy to silence Malcolm. This was the moment the world stopped. The woman who was supposed to protect him, to fight for him, was now accused of betraying him in the most devastating way. The court believes that there were hidden connections between her and Cosby, something that no one could have imagined. And the most heart-wrenching part? She wasn't just a bystander. She was reportedly involved in a plan. The betrayal is more intense than anyone could have ever guessed. How could someone so close to Malcolm be a part of this? How could they betray him, his memory, and everything they had? The documentary that could have exposed it all. Malcolm was working on something that could have changed everything. In his final days, he had been preparing to release a documentary titled Behind the Sitcom Smile. This was going to be his truth, his story, and the story of everything that had been hidden behind the cameras, the smiles, and the scripted moments. The documentary was his escape, his way of breaking free from the system that had held him down for so long. But someone didn't want that truth to come out. And just days before it was set to be released, Malcolm was found dead. But the documentary didn't die with him. The tapes, the files, and the evidence he had gathered are now in the hands of Felicia Rashad, who is fighting to ensure that Malcolm's voice isn't silenced forever. She has vowed to make sure the truth comes out. "I'm doing this for Malcolm," she says. "I'm doing this for the man who tried to expose the truth, for the man who fought until his last breath, and for the man who never got to share his story." The rise of the justice movement. The public's response has been nothing short of overwhelming. As the news of Cosby's arrest and the shocking revelations spread, people everywhere are rallying behind Malcolm's legacy. The hashtag Justice for Malcolm is trending, and fans are coming together to demand answers. The pain and grief that has followed Malcolm's death are now channeled into a movement. People are no longer willing to sit back and accept the lies that were fed to them. They want the truth. They want justice. And they won't stop until they get it. As the investigation continues, the world is left to wonder, what really happened that night? Was it just an accident? Or was it a cold, calculated execution to silence a man who dared to speak the truth? The story is far from over, and the world is waiting for the next twist in this heartbreaking saga. This powerful opening sets the stage for the emotional roller coaster to follow. It combines shocking confessions, intense drama, and a call to action that can captivate audiences, making them emotionally invested in the story. It builds suspense, leaving the audience on the edge of their seats, wondering what will come next. The news has spread like wildfire, igniting an inferno of shock and disbelief across the world. Bill Cosby's confession that he didn't act alone, that Malcolm Jamal Warner's death was not an accident, and that his wife was involved. It's too much for the public to handle. The lies, the betrayal, the conspiracy, they're all coming to light now. And it's more painful than anyone could have imagined. As the investigation deepens, we're learning things we never thought possible. The layers of deception are peeling away, exposing a world where greed, fear, and power play a deadly game, and Malcolm was caught in the middle. His last moments were filled with dread, with a sense of impending doom that no one could have prepared for. But even in the face of death, Malcolm fought to be heard. He knew they were coming for him. He knew he was on the edge of something monumental, something so big it could tear the Hollywood empire apart. But they made sure he never had the chance to expose it. Malcolm didn't drown. He was silenced. The last days of Malcolm Jamal Warner. Malcolm wasn't just an actor. He wasn't just a star. He was a man who had lived in fear for months before his death, as he uncovered the dark truth about the very industry that made him famous. A truth that, if revealed, would have destroyed careers and shattered the carefully constructed illusions of the Hollywood elite. He had started recording everything, his conversations, his thoughts, and his fears. He was leaving behind a trail, one that he hoped would never be erased. A documentary titled Behind the Sitcom Smile was his final piece of work. It was meant to be his redemption, his way of reclaiming his voice and exposing the people who had used and betrayed him. The documentary wasn't just about the fake smiles on set. It was about the fear, the manipulation, the abuse of power, and the deep corruption behind the scenes. "If I disappear, it's not an accident," he had said in one of his final voicemails. "They're coming for me. They'll stop at nothing to keep this truth buried. But I won't go down without a fight." Malcolm knew that he was walking a dangerous path. He had warned his closest friends, those he trusted, about the threats. The late-night calls, the mysterious messages, all signs that something was very wrong. But no one could have predicted how far they were willing to go to silence him. The silent witness, Malcolm's wife. It's hard to believe, but the woman Malcolm trusted most in the world, the one who vowed to stand by him through thick and thin, has now been implicated in the conspiracy to kill him. The arrest order for his wife was a devastating blow to everyone who loved him. How could she, the one who shared his life, be involved in this betrayal? The court's decision to arrest her has stunned the world. How could it be? How could a wife be complicit in the murder of her own husband? Was she part of the plan? Was she the one who helped orchestrate his death? Or was she just a pawn in a much larger game? As the police began their investigation, the truth started to surface. It wasn't just Cosby pulling the strings. It wasn't just about money or power, it was about control. And Malcolm had threatened to expose it all. His wife, too, was reportedly involved in these dark dealings. She had been one of the key players, hiding secrets and making sure the lies stayed intact. The betrayal runs deep. The world couldn't believe it. The woman who had stood beside him through everything now stood accused of helping to silence him. The very person who should have protected him, who should have fought for him, was now at the center of this horrific conspiracy. And then, the shocking truth about the final days leading up to Malcolm's death came into focus. The secret meeting before his death. Just hours before Malcolm's body was found, lifeless in the water, he had attended a secret meeting, a meeting that was supposed to be about his documentary. A meeting that would have changed everything. Felicia Rashad, who was the last person to see him alive, says that the air was thick with tension. "I could feel something was off. The room was cold. No one was saying much." And then, the name Cosby was mentioned, and the entire room fell silent. Felicia recalls, "Malcolm had already begun to dig into things that people didn't want uncovered. I saw it in his eyes. He was scared. But he wasn't backing down." Malcolm had walked into that meeting with determination, but as the conversation unfolded, it became clear that there were more powerful people involved in his downfall than he had ever imagined. "You stole everything from me," Malcolm told Tempest Bledsoe, his co-star and once close friend. "And you thought I would know. You thought I wouldn't figure it out. But I have." Tempest's response? A smirk, a silent admission of guilt. She didn't deny it. She didn't speak at all. The room was filled with whispers, but no one spoke up. They all knew that Malcolm had uncovered something so dark, so powerful, that it was beyond their control. And that was the last time anyone saw him alive. The accidental drowning. The next morning, Malcolm's body was discovered in the water. They called it an accident, a tragic drowning. But the evidence didn't add up. There was no water in his lungs. No signs of a struggle. No panic. No splash. It was as if someone had meticulously staged the scene to look like an accident. The autopsy came back with strange inconsistencies. The toxicology report was never fully released, and the family was told that the body had to be cremated quickly, too quickly. The family had demanded a second opinion, but their request was denied. The funeral home was pressured to carry out the cremation before anyone could investigate further. This was no accident. This was murder. But the conspiracy didn't end with Malcolm's death. The evidence was still out there, hidden in the files and tapes Malcolm had left behind. And now, Felicia Rashad is leading the charge to make sure the truth comes out. The fight for the truth. Felicia has vowed to keep fighting, to bring justice to Malcolm's memory. She's now working with a team of private investigators, combing through the tapes and files Malcolm left behind. The material they've uncovered so far is shocking. The tapes feature Cosby and Tempest caught in private conversations, discussing how to handle the problem that Malcolm had become. In one chilling clip, Cosby's voice booms as he says, "We can't let him ruin this. We need to make sure he doesn't talk. He's too dangerous now." And in the final footage, Malcolm is seen staring into the camera, tears in his eyes. He says, "If this is the last time you see my face, know this. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't a slip. It was them." The footage is chilling, and it's only the beginning. The truth is finally starting to come out. And now, the world is demanding answers. How far will Cosby go to protect his empire? How deep does this conspiracy run? And will anyone be held accountable for the murder of Malcolm Jamal Warner? The truth has been buried for far too long. And now, it's time to bring it to the surface. The beginning of the end. As the case continues to unfold, the world is watching. The fans, the followers, the people who loved Malcolm, they're all demanding justice. And Felicia Rashad has made it clear that she won't stop until the truth is exposed. This isn't just about a tragic death. This is about a cover-up that goes back decades. This is about exposing the lies that have been hidden behind Hollywood's glitz and glamour. And it's about holding the people responsible for Malcolm's death accountable. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. The final chapter of Malcolm's story. And it's far from over. This second part amplifies the emotional intensity and further deepens the mystery behind Malcolm's death. The suspense continues to build, leaving the audience hanging on every word, desperate to know more. This powerful, dramatic narrative ensures viewers are emotionally invested, making them eager to follow the journey to the truth. The world has been rocked to its core. Bill Cosby, once the beloved figurehead of America's family television, is behind bars. And the truth that he tried so desperately to bury is now emerging from the shadows, one piece at a time. The confession that Cosby didn't act alone, that Malcolm Jamal Warner's death was no accident, and that his wife was involved. It's the final piece of a puzzle that no one saw coming. But the truth is far from over. The battle is just beginning. The hidden files, what they didn't want you to see. As Felicia Rashad continues to pour through the evidence, the shocking files Malcolm left behind are beginning to paint a picture so dark, it's hard to believe it's real. The tapes, the letters, the encrypted USB drive. All of it leads to one undeniable conclusion. Malcolm wasn't just a casualty of a tragic accident. He was a threat. The fight for justice, Felicia's determination. Now, it's Felicia's turn to carry the torch. The truth that Malcolm fought so hard to expose is now in her hands. She's not backing down. "I won't stop until everyone who is involved in his death is held accountable," she vows. "I'm doing this for Malcolm. I'm doing this for the truth. And I'm doing this for the people who still believe in justice." As she digs deeper into the files, the tapes, and the shocking revelations that Malcolm left behind, she begins to understand the true scope of the conspiracy. It's bigger than Cosby. It's bigger than Tempest. It's a system that has been built on lies, manipulation, and fear. A system that was designed to keep people like Malcolm from ever speaking out. But now, the walls are crumbling. The truth is out there, and there's no turning back. Felicia's voice shakes as she says, "Malcolm may be gone, but his story will live on. I will make sure of it. I will expose them all. Every last one of them." The fight for justice is far from over. But one thing is clear: Malcolm's death will not be in vain. His story, his truth will be told. And those responsible for silencing him will finally face the consequences of their actions. The public's outcry, the rise of the #JusticeForMalcolm movement. As the world learns the truth, the public's outrage grows. Fans, followers, and supporters from around the globe are rallying behind the movement. The #JusticeForMalcolm has taken over social media, with thousands of people demanding answers. The call for justice is deafening. "We can't let this go," one supporter tweets. "We owe it to Malcolm to fight for his truth. We can't let them get away with this." The pressure is mounting, and the people behind the cover-up know it. Cosby's legal team is scrambling. Tempest Bledsoe is being questioned. And the investigation into Malcolm's death is growing louder, more intense by the day. "We will not be silenced," Felicia says, her voice firm, unwavering. Malcolm may be gone, but his legacy will never fade. The truth is coming, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. The shocking truth will set you free. The final battle for Malcolm's legacy has begun. The conspiracy that led to his death is being exposed, piece by piece. And with each new revelation, the world's perception of the Hollywood elite is forever changed. Malcolm Jamal Warner wasn't just an actor. He was a warrior, a man who fought to the end, a man who refused to let his story be erased. And now, his truth is coming to the surface. No more lies. No more silencing. The world will know what happened to Malcolm, and justice will finally be served. This isn't just a death. This is a revolution, and it's only just beginning. The truth is out, and it's darker than anyone could have imagined. Bill Cosby, the man we once trusted, the father figure we thought we knew, was behind a plot to silence Malcolm Jamal Warner. But that's not the worst part. The woman Malcolm loved, the woman who promised to protect him, was right there in the conspiracy. She knew what they were doing, and she did nothing to stop it. Malcolm didn't drown. He was silenced, and the world tried to bury his truth, thinking we would forget. But we didn't. We won't. Malcolm Jamal Warner was more than just a star. He was a fighter, a man who knew the system was broken. He saw the darkness behind the glitz and glamour, and he fought to expose it all. His final breath wasn't in vain. His death is the spark that ignited the fight for justice. Now, it's our turn to fight. The world may have turned a blind eye, but we cannot. The truth is here, and it's screaming for justice. If you believe that Malcolm deserves justice, that his voice deserves to be heard, then now is the time to act. Smash that like button. Share this video with everyone you know. Let's make sure this story doesn't get buried again. Comment below. Let us know what you think about the conspiracy and who you believe is responsible for silencing Malcolm. The world deserves to know the truth, and we have to make sure that justice is served. Malcolm Jamal Warner was a man who fought for his truth. Now, it's our turn to fight for him. Share this video. #JusticeForMalcolm isn't just a hashtag, it's a movement. A movement that's demanding answers, accountability, and most of all, justice. Don't let the truth die with him. Let's make sure Malcolm's legacy lives on forever. Because the truth is louder than their lies.